What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my next 8 reviews because after a bit of a whirlwind start to the year, things have finally started to slow down a little bit, and I am actually at the end of my previous raft of reviews, with the only thing left being Clair Obscur, which is obviously going to be on this list because it releases in a few weeks. But seeing how I've got some time to kill between now and when the announcement shows start, usually right at the start of June, so we can kind of figure out what's going on in the back half of the year, I figured now would be a good time to give people an update, of which I usually make one every couple of months, to talk about what I've got lined up and what I'm planning on taking a look at. So with that in mind, this video is basically geared from now until, again, those announcement shows, so I can kind of see what's going on. And even then, there's still a little bit of wiggle room, which we'll get into momentarily. With that in mind, this is mostly going to be old releases as I play through some games that I've been meaning to get around to for a while for one reason or another, as there's only 3 new releases over the next couple of months I plan on taking a look at. But before we dive fully into this, I do want to give you guys 2 maybes. Starting first and foremost with the one I know people are going to ask me about, which is the Oblivion remake. So I don't know if this is actually going to be released or if this is even going to really be a thing. I'm mostly just mentioning it purely because I know people are going to ask. Yes, I have seen the myriad of rumors and the recent update to the Oblivion Steam page that removed the trailers. And honestly, just the simple fact that Bethesda or Microsoft One hasn't come out and said it is absolutely not a thing yet is all pretty good evidence that it might actually be happening. I fully admit that, but I'm also not terribly interested in getting worked up about it until it's a sure thing. But, as many people know, and the reason people would be asking me to begin with is likely because they saw my Oblivion review, they know how much that game means to me, so to put it simply, yes, if the Oblivion remake happens to come out at any point in the future, it is an immediate priority for me. If they shadow drop it, truth be told, I don't really much care about what I'm actually working on at that moment. My attention would shift to Oblivion. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on what I can actually sort of plan for, which is everything else on this list, which brings me to my second sort of maybe, and that is Chains of Freedom. This is an upcoming TRPG set to release here pretty soon, actually, on I think it was like the 15th, and I played a demo of it, which I made as part of a Steam Next Fest video, I believe, and it seems interesting enough from what little bit I have played of it, but it does kind of strike me as the type of game that's either going to be pretty neat or really, really bad. So to that end, I simply don't know if I will do a full review on it, but one way or another, I will likely cover it, yes. Which brings us to everything else, so let's get on with that. Starting with, first, of course, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is set to release towards the end of April and is another game I had the chance to play via a preview that was sent out to a bunch of creators, I think. I don't believe they ever made that public, though I was personally hoping they would make that a public demo. And that is primarily because I'd say the main thing I gleaned from having played that game myself already, or at least the first couple hours of it, was simply that while I think it's a really fun time for the most part, the combat is likely going to be pretty make or break for most people. But either way, I enjoyed it. I really liked the art. Looking forward to playing it. Next up after that, with our sort of final new release for this video, we then have Doom the Dark Ages, which releases in the middle of May, and I'm absolutely going to be reviewing this one way or the other, but what I don't know at the moment is whether or not it will be a 100% review. This game is sort of FPS genre, of course, and while I have absolutely played and reviewed those previously with 100% and everything, Doom's a little different in the sense that it tends to have way more sort of ultra difficult challenges, and with this one having a modular difficulty while also not having any multiplayer, etc. I just don't know what 100% for this game looks like, even back from the preview I took part in. So what I'm going to do here basically is just, of course, play the game, see how I feel about it, but one way or another, you'll either get a regular review or a review after 100%, I don't know, but there will be a review, yes. From the preview I had, though, if you missed that video from me, to sum it up very succinctly, for the most part, seems pretty fun. I'm a little worried about things like the dragon and the Atlan perhaps getting stale over the course of the game, but the rest of it seems like a good time. Moving on to the old releases I want to get to, though, starting with Avernum 2. If you saw my impressions video yesterday, you already know this, of course, but I've been running through the Avernum series in anticipation of the remake of the 4th entry, which is set to release later this year, Avernum being a pretty, I would say, cult classic CRPG series that's seen a surprisingly long life, but that's the case for most of the games that Spiderweb Software has put out, and I really enjoyed the first one in terms of story, so I'm curious to see what expansions and whatnot the second title can bring. But following that, we actually have a game I'm very familiar with, which is Final Fantasy XII, but the catch here is I have not played that game's sort of remaster called the Zodiac Age, which if you're a long-time viewer, you've heard me talk about multiple times, but the gist of it is I want to take a trip down memory lane with that one and of course see all the changes with this sort of remastered version, which from what I understand has actually made the game easier in the sense that there's a whole bunch of helper features and things that have actually eliminated a fair bit of the grind that I remember. But I've been looking forward to diving back into this one for basically since the start of the year actually, and I'm going to force some time in here somewhere for this one, but looking forward to playing it for sure. Now on the sort of opposite end of that, we then have Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a game I have not played at all, and obviously not its follow-up either, Forbidden West, and again, I've just been meaning to get around to it for years since it came out on PC back in 2020, and I've done a pretty terrible job of making time for it. Now, I've heard that the first game was pretty good. I heard more mixed things about Forbidden West, but for the most part, people seem to really enjoy the first entry, with a few gripes about the open world here and there, pretty much being all the negatives I've ever really heard about it, so I'm looking forward to jumping into that one and seeing it for myself, and maybe I can get around to doing Forbidden West at some point as well. But either way, Horizon Zero Dawn looks pretty cool, and it's just a game I've wanted to play forever, which is a somewhat similar case for Phantom Brigade. Phantom Brigade is a sort of TRPG that released back in 2023 that I have also done a really bad job of making time for, and my understanding is that it has a pretty unique combat system that I believe is something akin to like simultaneous turn-based, that is to say things move while you're moving and you can rewind time and stuff, and overall it just seemed pretty novel and I've been wanting to take a look at it. Second to last, though, we then have something a fair bit different, and the reasons for me going back to it are a bit different as well, and this is Bloomtown, A Different Story. A sort of retro pixel graphics title that I actually took a look at last year but never played in full, as they had released a demo, but Bloomtown effectively puts you in the role of a couple of kids trying to save their 1960s Americana town from a demonic invasion from demons that live in the heart of its residents. Ultimately though, while I did enjoy it when I played the demo a while back, the reason I actually want to jump into it is that my son is graduating kindergarten here in just about a month or so, and he has done really fantastic this past year. And while the kid loves things like Minecraft these days, I'm wanting to try to sit down and play a video game with him, and especially, something a little more akin to what I play, which is one of these RPGs. So I thought it would be really cool if that after, he finishes up kindergarten and we get to enjoy the summer together, that I tried to sit down and play this with him. So I don't know exactly when the review for this will be done. As truth be told, if you're a parent at all, trying to schedule things around the whims of a capricious 6-year-old can be a bit difficult. But that does bring us to our final entry, and this is none other than Daggerfall Unity, which is an interesting game to approach in terms of a review, because obviously it's not going to be after 100% because Daggerfall is mind-bogglingly massive, but at the same time, while that is true, if you actually look at the sort of like handcrafted content for Daggerfall, there's not much. Most playthroughs of that game, like actually finishing the story, are like 20 to 30 hours, and that is because basically everything else about it relies on procedural generation. But ultimately, this channel was by and large made by taking a look back at old janky weird games, and Daggerfall really fits the bill. And while I have personally played it previously a couple of times, because of the nature of that game, I haven't ever actually bothered to finish it for myself, and I thought it would be fun to simply take a look back at it as a way to both fill out my own knowledge of the entirety of what that game actually is, story-wise and whatnot, but also to give people the opportunity to take a look at it as well, as, again, doing that kind of thing is somewhat what I'm known for. But as it stands, I think that's pretty much everything I'm taking a look at over the next couple months, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you're looking forward to at least one of these reviews. There are also a couple of other games I already know that I'll be taking a look at, but aren't necessarily full releases. Like, I know there's at least one game releasing into early access podcasts here in a week or two that I want to take a look at. No Rest for the Wicked gets a big update on the end of the month as well I want to take a look at. So there will be some other stuff as well either way. But for today, I think that's pretty much going to do it. Certainly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.